What is the one thing, just one thing, if you change, it changes everything. It changes your life. It changes your experiences. It changes your state of mind, your practical day to day life, as well as your spiritual realization. It has the potential to really change everything just by changing one thing. I mean, you can do a lot of different changes in your life, but if you had to just do one thing to change your life, do this. This realization comes from my own journey of changing something subtle within me, which caused a lot of change in my own life. It took my life from suffering, depression, hopelessness, going through the dark night of the soul, the ups and downs as I was going through my spiritual awakening. And as I helped shift this for my students, as a spiritual awakening mentor, as I helped hundreds of other people, if I can convey this one thing to them, I see that this has changed everything for them. And I speak about it in so many ways, but today I want to talk about it very clearly, go to the essence of that, and really help you get that one thing. And trust me, you don't know me, perhaps I'm a guy on YouTube talking about something, but if you really listen, if you really open your heart, if you really for one moment put all your distractions aside and receive the essence of this teaching, this can change everything for you. If you really apply it, if you really bring that into practice, which takes, effort and time, but it can be a really small change. If you know the butterfly effect, right? A small butterfly flapping its wings can have the butterfly effect where it leads to bigger and bigger dominoes falling, the domino effect, and finally result in a huge tornado forming. So this could be the little butterfly effect for you. Changing this one little thing. What is this one thing? This one thing is how you see your perspective, your way of looking at the world outside as well as looking at yourself. The shift in perspective. And it's not just any shift. It's not just any kind of like, oh, I changed my perspective. You can change your perspective into really bad perspectives, which can take your life down. But what I'm talking about is a way of seeing things that elevates your entire life. This is what I call the enlightened perspective. This is what I call the liberating perspective that lets you experience freedom within you, experience joy, experience peace, experience our true nature. It's so much beauty. It's hard to even put words to how wonderful that is. But I hope I can convey to you that shift in you as I go through this video and unpack it as we dive into the little nuances which really matter. You may have heard something like this taught by somebody else or some other YouTube video or some other book. But look at this as if you're completely new to this. Bring your beginner's mind to this. See, I'm already kind of putting the little steps that we will walk later in the video. But for one moment, forget everything you know. Put aside all your learnings all throughout your life. You have spent decades understanding life, learning about life. You've had all these experiences in your past that now inform how you see the world, which is very important, which is very practical, which is very reasonable. You're a very reasonable person. You're very intelligent, you're smart. And that is why, with all this knowledge, you are able to navigate this world very practically. You're able to live your life, you're able to do things. What I'm asking you to do, just for this one moment, just for this solitary single presence right now, consciously put everything aside. None of that helps you right now in this moment. Let those boulders on your shoulders, release them, let them go. The boulder of past and future. The past is actually what is creating the idea of the future. So drop them both. And let us look at this perspective that will shift everything for you, like it did for me and my students and so many others who came to this knowledge in whatever way. In my own awakening, I had this come up again and again. By the way, if we haven't met, my name is Ra Netjer. I'm a spiritual awakening mentor. I have been teaching the path for more than 10 years now. And I've had great fortune of touching hundreds of lives, thousands actually, but working with people to help them see the world in this way. See, let's come to the topic. Let's come to the meat of the matter. Which is how you see the world, how you relate with the world and yourself. This is your interface, this is your relationship, this is everything. Relationship with yourself, with others, with this moment, with this very existence, this whole experience of being human. There are two ways to do that, broadly categorized. One is you take the world to be fixed. You take the world to be a kind of a solid thing. And you believe the world to be real, not just in like, okay, this is real, but you believe your idea of the world to be real. You believe your own thoughts, ideas, your map of the world, the way you have created a little representation of this world to be real, right? So this is what we do naturally as a way of understanding the world. And as I was saying, it's very practical. So when we, let's say, when we are planning a trip, we are very practically looking at the map. Oh, this is where I go. This is what I do. This is how it's going to be. This is where I'll stay. This is how I'll go to this place. These are the places I'll eat out. Whatever, right? But something in us starts forming this beautiful map of this world, which is wonderful, but it takes that map to be real. It assumes, sometimes even believes, that that's the only reality. And we fall into a fixed state of mind. We fall into this way of interacting with the world that is conditioned by our past, that is conditioned by all the experiences, learnings, understandings. And that is the only way we relate. When we are kind of in a fixed, limited state of mind, that is what we fall back upon, because that is really helpful, that is safe. This way of interacting with the world is what we have learned through millions of years of evolution. This is what keeps us safe. This is what creates fear in us too, which is very practical. This is what keeps you from falling off a cliff. Because oh, a cliff is dangerous. I should be very careful as I'm walking next to a cliff. And I should stay safe. But if you really believe all this very practical knowledge, eventually what happens is you close yourself off to the world. And instead of really interacting with the world outside of you, you just interact with the map of the world inside of you, your image of the world. And even though you might be looking at something right in front of you, you're actually looking at your labels, your understandings, your concept of what is in front of you more than what is in front of you. Are you getting what I'm saying? Do you understand? Do you know what I mean? Is this resonating? Do you feel this is happening inside of you in your relationships? How you interact with loved ones? Are you interacting with them in this conditioned way? That's the first way of looking at things. And that's where most people are. That's how most people operate. That's how most people survive in this world. That's how the media, that's how, society, everything functions most of the time. Because that is what drives everybody to judge so quickly. That is why People don't even try to understand what's actually happening, and as soon as they see something, they're like, tuck, 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 oh, I know. I can easily judge this person by like 1 second of looking at them, which is by design, because you don't have the time to look at a dangerous thing. Like in our evolution, as soon as we saw a tiger, there's no time to like look at the tiger and appreciate its beauty, if it's really there. As soon as you see it, something in you is so quick to judge that it's danger, and you react even before you can even think. That's how our nervous system has all these very quick, fast reflexes and reactions, right? Because it bypasses our thinking. It just goes to that very primal lizard brain, as they call it, the old brain, which is designed to keep you safe. And it doesn't care about the beauty and the wonder and the nice gratitude, appreciation, none of that. It's so quick, very purposefully to save your life. And it's important to appreciate that. It's very important to see that there is a place for it. So there is a place for fear. There is a place for conditioned behavior. There is a place for just doing things in a standard way like you've been doing all the time. Because, most importantly, it creates a structure in your life which saves energy. It's about energy management. And if you were to look at everything before judging it, it is so impractical. It would be so painstaking to live if you had to look at everything and judge it, right? So it is very practical. So first step is to really understand and know that there is a purpose to this first way, the normal way of looking at life, the first conditioned perspective, let's call it. So the conditioned perspective is something to recognize as useful, and don't fight with that. Be grateful for it, appreciate it. So once you appreciate it, once you know that there is a purpose for it, then you can be free of being completely bound by it. You can use it as a tool. You can use it as a way of interacting with the world when it's necessary. But come to the second perspective, which is going to change everything, which most people don't have, which most people, even though they have experienced it at some points in their lives, they are not consciously doing that. They are not able to shift into that when that's needed. So they're bound to the first perspective, and this is the problem. This is what creates a lot of problems in so many people's lives, that they completely believe the first perspective, the old perspective, is the truth. And they cannot get out of it. There's so much momentum in it that it's just not possible to escape that gravity. But what is the second perspective? The second perspective. Just talking about it just makes me chills, gives me chills. Do you feel that? I hope I'm conveying the energy of it to you. Open your heart to feel it. Second perspective is the perspective of beginner's mind. The second perspective, what is called in Zen as Shoshin. Hmm. 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 Beginner's mind. What is beginner's mind? I gave a detailed teaching to my students about a week ago about this. Hmm. 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 And I talked about really how this is the way, this is the complete way, in one mm, practice or understanding or teaching. Mm. So I want to convey that to you. So, so listen carefully. Really receive this. Take notes, journal about this, really meditate on this. Beginner's mind is a way of looking at the world as if you just arrived here, as if you were transported here and you just arrived in this body, and you're looking at this world as if you don't know anything, as if you're so new here that you are looking at the world through the eyes of a little baby. So much wonder, this spark in your eyes that just brings that freshness to everything you're seeing, even if you've seen this thing again and again in your life. You know this so intimately well. You know everything about this thing that you're looking at. You still look at it as if you have never seen it before. You're like, wow, what is that? And I'm going to talk about how to apply it. It may be a little bit extreme how I'm talking about it. I'm trying to convey the principle of it for you so that you can really see that. And then we're going to kind of bring it into a practical application of it. But just receive this. Because it's so freeing. It's going to change everything, really. Change everything for me. Because there was a point in my life when I felt so depressed and hopeless. So, mm, so I was pulled into so much darkness that I didn't want to live anymore. Mm. I I didn't see the point. I didn't see any meaning in waking up in the morning and doing what everybody does. I was like, what's the whole point of this? That was when I was in the conditioned perspective so deeply that I just took the whole world. I like, okay, I know what this is. I don't care. What's what's the meaning of this? I'm just going to die one day anyway. Everybody else I know is also going to live one day anyway, one way or another. So what's the whole point? So I got into that conditioned perspective, even though my life was so beautiful. This was about 17 years ago or so. Hmm. 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 That I felt this so deeply. I was an actor at that time. I was a photographer. I did professional photography. I still have my camera from there. The 5D Mark III professional camera. I used to enjoy my life so much. On the outside, I looked so happy. From the outside, I had so many friends. I was making enough money to be really joyfully enjoying life. I had such a wonderful family who really supported me in everything. I was the life of the party. I was extroverted. I had so many people that I could talk to about all the external things. But at the same time, even with everything on the outside, there was this suffering on the inside, which I just even couldn't explain to anybody. Nobody could really understand me. Nobody made me feel heard, seen, loved, even though there was so much love. Because I was in the first perspective, the conditioned perspective that pulled me in to this state of deep suffering that made me completely lose any appreciation for life. But I'm so fortunate that life eventually, slowly, beautifully, wonderfully brought me to this path where I could feel the light again, see the light again, change my perspective, where I can see how wonderful life is, how there is so much joy in everything, there is enlightenment in everything, there is magic in every moment of this existence. It's all magic. This is how you can change your life. Look at this world just for this moment. Forget the practicality of it, we'll come back to that. But just for one moment, right now, don't wait. Right here, right now. See how wonderful your life is. See how magical this moment is. We take it to be so fixed and granted because we are using all this memory and understanding and concepts and structures and our evolutionary devices of fear and self-identity and all the things that keep us fixed. So if you just let go of all that for one moment, look at how you are here in this wonderful vehicle, this body, which is such a magical thing. You are experiencing being human, even though you are an eternal being of light. You have no end. You are spirit. You are so vast and unlimited, and yet you are experiencing this limited existence as a way of knowing yourself. Isn't that the most wonderful? You're going through this life where so much happens to make you experience each and everything. You're experiencing all this beauty, all these synchronicities. Like everything is a synchronicity. Some synchronicities you may see and recognize and say, wow, I saw 1111 on my phone and that was a sign. Yes, that was a sign. But isn't every moment like that? Do you know how much had to happen for you to take one breath? How much had to go right? How much had to perfectly align for even life to exist? Isn't that just so wonderful? Like, just this water. I saw a photograph taken through a microscope of one little drop of seawater. It amazed me so much. In that one drop of seawater, there are like millions of little, I don't know if it's millions, but definitely like so, it's packed with life of all sorts of little beings. So colorful, beautiful, doing their thing. So everything is just so miraculously working. So for you to exist right now, your body is so full of life in every single atom, in every single cell of your life. There is just miracles happening for you to take one breath. Do you realize that? I was telling a group of friends recently that we take life to be so fixed, but just this cup, if you look at it, it may look so fixed, it has a weight to it. It has a feeling to it. It's like, oh, this is a cup. But really, it's just made up of 99.9999999. I think it goes to 18 or some crazy number of 999s after 9. 99.9999999 like that percent emptiness. And a tiny percent of that are these uh, little particles, neutrons, protons, electrons, right? These atoms. And even those particles, they are made out of even smaller particles, subatomic particles, quarks, and positrons. Just goes into a lot of depth. And the more you know about this, the more you realize how much you don't know. Like I've been very curious about quantum mechanics and quantum science, theoretical physics. And what I discovered with this, like, the more you know, the more you don't know. In any way, in any form, if you really know something, what it makes you realize is there is absolute ocean of knowledge to know, and you've only discovered one little drop of that. So in theoretical physics, if you go deep enough, what you find in every little thing, it's just unfathomable. So the current theory is that those little subatomic particles are made out of 10 dimensional strings that are vibrating in, like, this is one dimension, this is another dimension, this is, and there is like the three dimensions, right? This is 3D reality, right? But 10 different dimensions of vibrations happening. String theory, look it up. And that's what they theorize is making that up. And nobody really knows. We thought we knew. We thought, oh, we have found the atom. The word atom comes from what is undividable. One unit, one atomic unit, right? But then they divided the atom, right? Then they're like, oh, there are smaller particles than the atom. right? And then they went deeper, and then they found something else which is dividable. Like if you really look into this fascinating field of particle physics, the CERN experiments, etc., the finding the Higgs boson. It's very deep practical, deep theoretical stuff. But it just shows you, if you really look at anything as it is, you have absolutely no clue. So accept that. Accept the reality that this world is magic. Accept that even though you have learned everything through decades of living life in this human body and interacting with all sorts of experiences that have happened in your life, there are endless possibilities of how anything can change at any moment, because it's all empty. The Buddhist teaching of emptiness is also in other religious texts as well, also in Advaita Vedanta. Non-duality. It's not just Buddhist. But see the emptiness of all things. See that you don't know anything. So this is humility. This is true humility. True humility doesn't mean you make yourself smaller and say, oh, everybody is big and I am a little human who is surrendering to life. It's the wrong idea of humility, being meek and weak. It's not inferiority complex. True humility, which serves you on the path to enlightenment, is to see that you don't know, and you're truly open to accept that life is this wonderful, magical unknown. True humility is going into the unknown as an adventurer. This is the way of relating with life. When you take life as an adventure, when you take life to be this grand journey that has opened up to you, and you're so excited, you're curious, you're just having this appreciation and gratitude and excitement and trust in your life. Trust. I'm saying so many different words here, but it's all about that one way of looking at life, beginner's mind, that changes everything. Another teaching I gave to my students about this, so many ways of looking at this. That's why this is such a long video. Because there's just so much to talk about this, because this really relates to everything. Another way I talked about it with my students in the teaching: empty your cup and then I will show you Zen. Empty your cup and I will show you Zen. No, it's the same. Because our cups are usually filled with all the knowledge that we have gathered. Mm. And when the cup is full, as the story goes, this is a famous Zen story. You've probably heard that before. uh, a renowned scholar mm, who has learned all the scriptures and all the all there is to know, uh, and is very proud. Mm. He heard of this Zen master who is visiting. Mm. And he goes to this Zen master. Mm. Mm. And he's like, he wants to, talk to this Zen master, kind of like, he's like, oh, I already know, like there's this pride. He wants to show the Zen master. Hmm. But as the scholar arrives, the Zen master already notices. Hmm. Hmm. He doesn't say anything. Hmm. He could sense his pride. Hmm. Hmm. And hmm, he the scholar has this kind of fake humility, because it's important, like in the etiquette, to be like, okay, I want to honor you, Zen master. I want to learn from you. And he's like, okay, uh, let's have some tea before we talk about the Dharma and about enlightenment. Let's have some tea. But when hmm, hmm, the master pours tea for the scholar, he pours it to the brim, and the scholar is expecting the Zen master to stop pouring. But the Zen master keeps pouring, keeps pouring, keeps pouring. The cup overflows and it's falling, and the scholar is like, confused. It's like, what's happening? Master, what are you doing? So it's an experiential teaching, you know. You can just tell this to somebody, but when somebody really experiences that, they're like, you know, having a realization. And then the Zen master says, your cup is already full. I cannot teach you anything if your cup is full. Mm. Mm. You have already filled your cup with all sorts of concepts and beliefs and understanding that you think is true. You've read everything that you now carry upon your shoulders, and that is blinding you. Empty your cup, and then I will show you Zen. Hmm. 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 This is beginner's mind. When your cup is so empty that you can receive, you can actually realize the truth of the teaching, not just hear it, not just take some words and associate that with some other words, some other concepts which you already know, and it becomes a part of your belief system. That's not learning. Maybe it is in the old way of looking at things. That's the normal way of learning in a very practical sense. That's how you learn. You take a concept and relate it to other concepts in your mind, and you form new neural pathways about it. And if you practice, that becomes, more reinforced learning. We all know this with psychology. You're smart, you understand that. But this way of true learning, realization, is much more than that. It's actually starts with letting go. It actually starts with putting aside all that we know. It starts with hmm, hmm, being humble enough to recognize, I don't know. Hmm, I have no idea. And because I don't know, I am truly open. Hmm, hmm. And that is when you can see the enlightenment in every moment. That is when you can see divinity in every breath. That is when you can appreciate the miracle, the magic, the wonder that fills mm, 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 this entire experience of being human, even with its ups and downs, even with its difficulties, even with all the suffering, with all the pain, even with the state of the world, what's going on. Mm, there is still deep sense of freedom, mm, joy and peace and love and wonder. Even with all the knowledge that we have gained, we can be very practical. This is the state that, I was telling you it can be practical to do this. This is the state. So, where you keep your maturity, all the skillful means you've learned, and ways of interacting with the world, all your knowledge and wisdom, you keep all of that, and along with that, you are able to just push it aside for a moment, when necessary, to just experience the world as it is, see the world as it is, to be as you are. One of the Ramana Maharshi teachings, Ramana Maharshi, on his highest teaching, most subtle teaching is silence, but very close to that, just what you can put into words in one way is be as you are. Chumma iru in Tamil. Be as you are. To be as you are, you have to let go of all you thought you were. And all that you thought you were was the first way of being conditioned, looking at the world through the lens that is dirty. Like this lens, I haven't cleaned it in a while because I haven't used this camera in a while and I don't have my cleaning kit. So when I look through this lens, there are these little smudges, a little bit of dust. And so when I look through the lens, what happens is I see those smudges coloring the the vision, right? So what happens is not seeing the world as it is. So clear all the dirt on your lens and see through the world, see through the lens clearly. And then you see the world as it is, which lets you see yourself as you are. It's the same, which lets you be as you are. This lets you really, and when you see things as they are, there is no problem, there is no suffering, there is nothing to do, there is nothing to figure out, nothing to fight with, nothing to overcome, nothing to achieve. And there's just beauty, love, peace, your true nature. No problem. Hmm. Hmm. And you can see that, you can feel that, you can experience that. Hmm. So, this is the one thing that can change everything for you if you really get this. Enlightenment. Enlightenment. It's you don't need to go meditate in a cave for 12 years. Which can be helpful but not necessary. Mm. And it takes time to do this, of course. It's not like, oh, it can be like you can have like one moment of seeing that, and you can have what is known as a satori or samadhi, which is a clear experience of life as it is, direct experience of life. Aparoksha anubhava, as it's called in Sanskrit. Direct experience of the world as it is, yourself as it is, reality as it is. And that experience, that realization can change everything. That's what happened for me. I've had these powerful experiences again and again of seeing reality as it is, and that started percolating, that started just changing all my regular experiences. So they started integrating. Hmm. And more my regular experiences started being like I just, any normal experience can become so deep and profound. Like something really tiny can just completely take me into deep bliss. Hmm. That bliss stays, and the experience doesn't matter anymore. And all sorts of experiences may happen on the outside, but that blissful natural state can remain. Hmm. Hmm. And the experiences kind of fade away into the background. Hmm. 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 It's as if they don't exist. It's as if this world is taking care of itself. It's flowing by itself, happening by itself, spontaneously. And I don't exist. You don't exist. The world doesn't exist. The world just is a distant dream. Beautiful flow of light. Mm. It's hard to put into words. Mm. Mm. This is just light. It's a world of light. Worlds of light shining in my mind, shining in my awareness. And everything is, no matter what it is just like light in one more form. It's not theoretical physics anymore. You don't need to explain it with E is equal to mc square, which is a proven theorem. E is equal to mc square, which literally says everything is energy and everything is light. E is energy, m is mass, c is the constant for the speed of light. Squared, E is equal to mc square. So in some way, mass, energy, and light are the same. Right? So you can actually experience that. You don't need to think about it. Even thinking about it is like, wow, it opens up you up to wonder. But you can experientially understand it. That's realization. That's self-realization. That's experiencing yourself as light. And it's infinitely wonderful. I cannot convey it in words enough. But I hope you feel what I'm saying. I hope this is resonating with you. And if this is truly resonating with you, I invite you to go deeper. I invite you to truly explore this in your own experience. And even as you keep your learning, don't throw away all that you know. Keep it in your mind, but keep it aside. Keep it flexible. Be able to be fluid with your awareness. Be able to take off the lens, like this camera, for example. What makes it a great professional camera, all professional cameras have this, right? Whether it's a DSLR camera or a mirrorless camera, at least most professional cameras, what you're able to do is you can take off the lens and you can put a different lens on it, right? And you can see the world through a very different perspective. You can put a long zoom lens to do bird photography, or you can put a wide lens to capture everything that's on the scene. You can put a special tilt shift lens to have like a kind of very different perspective of the world. You can put a little lens like this. This is a 50 mm 1.8 lens, which has a nice big aperture. You can let a lot of light in. Right? It's a prime lens if you know photography. So it's a very good metaphor to really see. Be a professional camera. Right? Don't be a fixed lens camera which only takes pictures in a certain way. I was checking out the Polaroid camera recently, and it has a tiny little lens, it's a fixed lens. It's great, it's very, you can click a picture and it prints it out immediately. But you can only see the world in a very fixed perspective. And it's fun. But when you want to see the world in a free way, be a professional camera. So use what you have. I have another lens which is a zoom lens. I can change where how far I can see, or also become wide. But I have the freedom now to shift my perspective. So that's what I recommend for you. This is how you practically shift your life, where you're able to know all that you know and use that when you are interacting with the world, when you're talking with somebody. There are a lot of people who get stuck in their spiritual perspectives. Yeah, I did this myself. I was like, who am I? When I really read Ramana Maharshi's book, and I was like, who am I? What is my name? It's all an illusion. So when I was talking to others, I was like, especially with other spiritual people, like, this person, this body. I was talking to myself, talking about myself in third person I tried doing that. Does it even make sense? Is that this is I? Right? And then I saw that it's, even though it is completely false, all these ideas we have made up about ourselves, it is very practical to use those beliefs, understandings, and knowledge as a way of interacting with the world, especially when we are interacting with others. It's a way of building a bridge. It's about communication. It's about a practical interface with the world, which uses all this knowledge, while knowing the whole time that I don't know anything. So you are in two worlds at the same time. You're living in a very practical world, and accessing all the structures of this world. But at the same time, you know that you know nothing. At the same time, you're completely free. You're untouched by all the ups and downs of this world. You're a wise monk with beginner's mind. Why do I say monk? Which means you're not attached to anything. You're a guest in this human experience. Be a guest. Know that you're a guest. That's what you are. You're a guest in your own home. If you believe you are there forever, that's when things start becoming solid. Suffering starts. Know that you're a guest and everything is temporary. Everything is empty. Everything is unknown. And you're free. So this is that shift in your life that can change everything. Truly. Really. So if this really makes sense to you, I invite you to truly put it into practice. And if it's hard to do it by yourself, feel free to reach out. I'm here to support you through this process. Because I know, even though I had experiences of this, I had Satoris and Samadhis, it was really hard to integrate this. It was really hard to translate this into practicality, which is where I got really tangled up in my concepts, and my own self-sabotage came in. And it took me years of suffering to really make it an actual practical shift in my life. So if you're looking for help, I have a free community where I have a lot of deeper teachings about this through different perspectives, which you are very welcome to join. I have transmission teachings there, and we have free weekly gatherings, guided meditations to empowered music, which is a kind of a transmission music. And we have a lot of community support, and you can ask questions and everything. So just go to the link in the description. You have a link to the free community. If you don't have it, I'll just put it here, which is awakenwithra.com/I am. I am stands for Integrated Awakening Mentorship. So it's a mentorship of walking the path with deeper guidance, community, and my support. So I invite you to check that out if you're open, if you're looking for more support. If not, I completely understand. But more importantly, see this in your own experience more than anything. Like the Buddha said, you don't need to believe any teachings. Discover the truth in your own experience. That's the most important. But it's sometimes really helpful to have a mentor, teacher, a guide who reflects that light back to you, which is what I found out. It has been invaluable in my life to have mentors and teachers. I still work with mentors and teachers, especially in practical ways. Right. So, and my mentors and teachers, they have had mentors and teachers, which is why they are there, and they currently have mentors and teachers too. So studies have shown again and again, having mentors and teachers is the fastest way to move forward, to learn, to transform, right? So why not accept the help? And it's free. And another thing we offer is a one-on-one spiritual assessment or consultation, where with another person guiding you through a deeper look at your own spiritual journey, you can have so much clarity. So this is one of the ways you can put aside this conditioned way of looking at things, is to have another perspective, have another person look at it with you. So that's also available for free. Then with that, you can have the clarity of what is the right next step for me. So this can truly change everything for you, truly let you transform things in a very practical way. If you're open to it. But it's all really about being open. It's all really about knowing that you don't know, which makes you open to life, open to receiving. That's really what the wise do. People who think they know everything are actually there are people out there who are so proud of what they know that they are just fixed in their knowledge, which actually leads to a lot of suffering. So if you're truly wise, you're open to life. The truly wise are humble, open, receptive. And I know you're watching it until the end of this video. According to my own statistics, and I've seen not many people come to the end of this video. So you're here because this resonated with you. This is truly showing you something deep. So I invite you to go even deeper, to change your life. Reach out to me. I'm looking forward to meeting you. Join the free community and say hi. A lot of amazing teachings and resources there, which I know you will appreciate. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I love you so much. I see the light in you. Keep going on this path, and you will find your enlightenment. You will discover your enlightenment. Namaste. Take care. If you want to watch another video about the path to enlightenment, this is a video I recommend. Go watch that now. If you're looking to go even deeper, watch this now. Namaste and take care. Bye.